Today's episode, will Kickstarter soon be kicked to the curb? Welcome to another episode of TABLEscraps, in which we present a topic related to tabletop gaming and then have a brief conversation about it with the live audience. Let's not waste any more time listening to this weird intro music. Let's get right into today's discussion. Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of TABLEscraps, the live streaming month-long experimental series that we're doing here on Pair of Dice Paradise, where we take a topic suggested to us from a viewer, a topic about tabletop gaming, and then we discuss it, both myself and right along with the live audience who's watching the live stream when this is first recorded. Today we have a discussion topic that was sent to us from one of our viewers, who is Christian Gienger. Hope I pronounced your name correctly there. Christian asks about Kickstarter games. Specifically, are they quote-unquote finished as retail games? Well, that is a very interesting question. But I gotta be honest here, Christian, and it could be interpreted in a couple of different ways. Some people were wondering if it just meant if Kickstarter as a financial backing platform for board games is finished, or if it meant is Kickstarter as finished as brick and mortar retail outlets. Is that phasing out? So I apologize. I'm not quite sure which version of that your question was referring to. So in the interest of being thorough, I will quickly address both. Let's work in reverse. Let's take the second possible meaning of this question. And is Kickstarter as a platform as finished as brick and mortar physical stores? Well, to answer that question, we first have to say, well, are brick and mortar physical stores finished, being phased out, on their deathbed, on their way out? And it may be controversial, but I have the personal opinion that it wouldn't surprise me. I see every other industry going a lot towards online sales. But then the question is, can it be salvaged? And again, in my own personal opinion, the initiatives that I have seen members of the board game industry take to try and prop up or support friendly local game stores, again, in my opinion, has been focusing on the wrong aspect of what a friendly local game store brings to the hobby. The second part of that, though, then is, well, does Kickstarter then suffer from that same problem? I don't think it suffers from that problem. So in that, I think we're comparing apples to oranges. Now, the other part of this is Kickstarter itself finished as a platform for board games, just in and of itself. That, I think that we are just seeing it get warm. It is just getting started, I think. And the reason why is because I think that people have discovered new ways to use the Kickstarter platform than was first thought. For example, one of the arguments I've heard every now and then about Kickstarter is when a large established publisher uses Kickstarter as, for lack of a better word, a pre-order system for one of their upcoming future games. And I have heard some complaints that that's not fair. Some complaints saying that Kickstarter was created to help the little guy, and big stores, big publishers shouldn't be using Kickstarter as a pre-order system because that's what Kickstarter was not intended to be used for. Hogwash. Kickstarter, love it or hate it, for better or worse, is a business. And every business exists for the exact same purpose, and that is to generate income, to make money. And so if larger publishers using Kickstarter as a pre-order system is a way that Kickstarter generates revenue for their own company, you can bet dollars to donuts that they're probably absolutely fine with that. I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that because I have never seen Kickstarter come out and say, hey, we are strictly for the little guy. Now, if Kickstarter has ever released a press release or has documentation that says that, I would love to see it because that would actually, that would change my opinion of the whole issue, greatly reverse my opinion on it if Kickstarter had stated that. So let me know if there's something like that out there that exists because I would love the opportunity to educate myself. Another way to educate myself is going to be to turn to the wisdom of our live streaming chat. Okay, I'm going to start right here with a comment by Roman, who says, fatal problem for some Kickstarter games is that so much bonus content is given for free during the campaign that the price in retail feels like a ripoff in comparison. That's a very good point. You actually sometimes are getting a different product, almost a completely different product at the Kickstarter level than the retail level. I think I've mentioned before, I am personally not a fan of Kickstarter exclusives. I'm in the camp that it would be nice to have maybe a Kickstarter, 6 to 12 month exclusive. But it would be cool if those extra goodies that Kickstarter releases would eventually become available at retail. Maybe you just get them first for a long time. And I agree with you, Roman, that differentiation can be a deciding factor sometimes if a customer is going to buy a game. Because if I see the Blood Rage Kickstarter people getting all of these extra gods and promos and figures, it may have actually affected my desire to go and purchase it in retail, knowing I'm going to miss out on all of that stuff. Okay, let's continue on with Scott Stevenson, who says, part of what brings people to a friendly local game store is a space to play with people. It's not just about the games, that's what keeps a friendly local game store going. Friendly local game stores have to be inviting enough to bring people into the door to make that important. I do think that this is where the Board Game Cafe shines and offers something that you really can't get online. I'm going to play devil's advocate and contradict you there, Scott, because you mentioned that what brings people to a friendly local game store is a space to play with people. True. Possibly. I mean, that is a determining factor. And that seems to be the aspect of the friendly local game store that a lot of the board game industry initiatives to support them have focused on. And I don't necessarily agree that that's what brings people to a friendly local game store. Again, just in my own personal experience and the people I play with, given the opportunity, all things being equal, to play a game at a friendly local game store versus other possible locations, libraries, community centers, people's houses, hotel ballrooms, and stuff like that. And of course, each one has its own pros and cons and financial obligations to rent it sometimes if necessary. But given the choice, playing at the friendly local game store itself is usually the bottom item on our own list of locations to play at, just because of the environment we want to play in, and the atmosphere, and the noise levels, and just, the convenience. Therefore, I would say, and to be completely blunt, what brings people to friendly local game stores is Magic the Gathering, a specific product that they are looking for. And the majority of the people that go in and are keeping a game store afloat are not the people going in and playing in the back room. It is the people coming in to buy a box full of boosters. And I reserve the right to be completely wrong on that. And please, if I am, give me some evidence, give me market research, give me data. I would love to devour up the data on this. But I also reserve the right to be absolutely correct. Okay, let's continue on to a comment here by Kabuki Kid, who says, I think the easy answer is that many of them are not as polished and play-tested as most other games. So them being Kickstarter games. It is wise to be picky about what games to back, especially if you can't try the game first. Now that, I think, is a major advantage of the friendly local game store versus Kickstarter. I agree. The ability to try the game first. Of course, there are preview demo videos and stuff like that. They're available sometimes through the Kickstarters, but nothing compares to being able to go in, sit down, open up the box, and go through it in person. The ability to play test the game in person at a friendly local game store is one of the things that gives them a great advantage over Kickstarter. Next, we have a comment by Fizvisk, who says, about the games being finished, it's a chance you have to take, really. If you want to back a Kickstarter, that's the chance you have to take. Some of them are very neat games all around, and some others, yeah, they need further testing and fixing. So yes, this underscores another thing true that Kabuki Kid just said. I do think that an extra level of vetting does need to be done on Kickstarter games, especially Kickstarter games by brand new publishers. However, that being said, a lot of hidden gems have been found on Kickstarter from first-time publishers, so it's definitely something where even if it is a first-time publisher, it's worth doing the research because you never know how good of a game they're going to produce and what you're going to find. JD says, is there a saturation problem on Kickstarter, especially with highly speculative unknown design houses? Is there a place for vetting other than curation pre-support? That is a really good question. I don't know of something dedicated to vetting Kickstarter board games. That may be a niche, an opportunity that's more than just preview videos. There may be an opportunity for that in our industry, in the media industry especially. However, I think that requires a lot of a time investment and probably would need to be a dedicated channel or something. But I do think it is a niche that there is an opportunity to serve. That, yeah, I don't think it is fully being served yet. If anyone out there knows of someone that's dedicated to vetting, not just doing promotional previews, but dedicated to vetting Kickstarter board games, let me know in the comments below, because if there is, I would love to give that channel some publicity, because that would seem to be really hard work. And our final question here that we have is going to be by Juke Joint, who says, i.e. Jamie Stegmaier as our example. His desire to continue to provide the Kickstarter extras afterwards is why I will support basically all of his games. I've said it a dozen times, I am always impressed with the way that Stonemaier Games releases the information about production. He has, Jamie Stegmaier has an amazing blog that he shows you behind the scenes for it, and he does great communication, and he understands what gamers want in that respect. So yes, I absolutely agree that he is a model for anyone, established publisher or brand new publisher, wanting to get into the Kickstarter game. Stonemaier Games and Jamie Stegmaier are excellent examples of what to do right, not just in designing a game, but running the game's Kickstarter. Long story short, is Kickstarter finished as a platform? I think the overwhelming answer is no. There's a lot in there. There's a lot to sift through. The buyer needs to beware and do their research, but I think there is still room for it to grow and still a lot of room for potential of things that we haven't even discovered yet. So I hope that this information is helpful. It's just, like I said, a brief overview, the crust, the tip of the iceberg of this topic. So to continue the discussion on this topic and everything else about board games, be sure to subscribe and comment in the comments below of this video, and also join us on the Pair of Dice Paradise Facebook and Twitter pages to continue the conversations there as well. And just real quick, I want to remind you that this entire video that you just watched was made possible by the support of our viewers, just like you, on our Pod Pledge fundraiser. Thank you everyone for continuing to support the channel and making videos like this possible. Until next time, I want to thank the live streaming chat for joining me and serving up some more table scraps. I'm just waiting for some feedback that we're getting all that sound through this microwave microphone I found.